Alright, still on UFC 248. We got one here. It's Neil Magny versus Li Jingliang, the Leech. Magny will be bringing into this one a 3-inch height advantage and a fucking 8.5-inch reach advantage, which he's yet to utilize effectively in his game through his whole UFC career. How old is he now? I don't know, but he's fairly old. He's probably like 33, 34. He got beat down in his last fight. Ponzinibbio just fucking put a dress on him and made him dance, really. And since then, he's had a 17-month layoff. Like, what kind of improvements has he made since then? Because that's a very long layoff. It's a very long chunk of your career, especially in your prime. I get that he's had injuries, he's had fights booked, and he's got injured, but still, very long chunk of your career. And this particular matchup has gave him trouble before. The power punches, like KG, Ponzinibbio, Hector Lombard, they've knocked him down 6 times in 11 rounds, which is not good if you get knocked down every second round, because that automatically means you're pretty liable to get a 10-8. You're able to get 10-8'd in a decision, which is not helpful when you're fighting to the judges' scorecards mostly, which is what Magny does. For the Leech, he's 7-1 in his last 8. I think his only setback is Jake Matthews, which is pretty impressive. I don't think Jake Matthews gets enough respect for that win. But yeah, Jake Matthews just dominated him and fucking brought it to him. And also, Li Jingliang has a very similar style to Ponzinibbio. In the way that he feints, he's very aggressive, and also he's got decent power in his hands. So we'll see if Neil has made the appropriate improvements for this type of matchup, or if he's just going to keep, being set in his ways and keep losing this particular matchup and not continue growing as a mixed martial artist. So Neil Magny, he gets the double underhooks. He's very long, so he gets the double underhooks pretty easily. Gets the body lock and looks to mat return you or start chain wrestling or, get that wrestling ride, make you start carrying his weight. Just uses his long ass arms to get the body lock really, and then looks for the takedowns from there. He'll pull guard on an unsuccessful takedown attempt. It's not advisable. It's a low percentage move. Doesn't, unless you're like Tony Ferguson or Brian Ortega off your back, it's not great to pull guard, and it's also not a good message to be sending the judges. But when he's wrestling southpaws, he opens up with kicks. Obviously, that won't be important in this matchup. Also, he bites on feints. Sometimes he'll cover up and not throw any offense back and allows opponents to just tee off on him, really. You saw that in the Ponzinibbio fight. And also he walks into shots with his predictable, forward movement. He doesn't have the greatest strike and defense. But Li Jingliang, he stays at kickboxing range mostly and looks to pick his entries in to when to, go for his blitz 1-2s or his blitz 2-1-2s. He never overextends on his punches, very tight. And he'll start to spam leg kicks if he sees an opening for it, which could be key in this matchup because Ponzinibbio found, a lot of Neil Magny's losses have come from people kicking his leg really hard. The Lorenz Larkin one, he started kicking his leg really hard and Neil Magny just couldn't take it after 4 fucking kicks. And same thing in the Ponzinibbio fight, Neil Magny was getting knocked down from leg kicks in round 2. So if Li Jingliang watches tape or his coaches watches tape, that's definitely someone to look out for. And Li Jingliang, he gets stronger as the fight goes on. He usually becomes the aggressor. Sometimes I feel like he leaves a bit in the tank over 15 minutes because he seems to finish very strong and then, still be not breathing heavy or anything. And he does have low volume, so it's why don't you fucking use it? But it's mostly because he's looking for counters or he's looking for that perfect shot, which is a flaw in his game, I believe. But yeah, his ground game, he'll kind of just catch a kick and try to ground the opponent, get in top control for a little bit. He's got a good initial scrambles when opponents try and take him down, but after that he can be controlled on the ground for quite a while, and sometimes it's voluntarily because he locks his guard up. He locks his guard up on bottom, which is, unless you're, as I said before, Tony Ferguson or Brian Ortega, don't do that because you're highly unlikely to get a submission off bottom against a well-prepared guy who trains every day, and you're not a phenom, if you know what I mean. How they win. For Neil Magny, he's got good BJJ transitions on top. He's tough as nails. He loves versus southpaws. Obviously won't be happening in this matchup, but a lot of his wins do come off southpaws, and he does seem to like the matchup. How he loses, however, no, fuck that. We'll go how Leach wins. Is that he's loose when he's in the flow state. You see that a lot when he's bobbing his head. He's kind of ducking and diving. He's kind of dancing. He's talking to his coaches and shit. You saw that in the Zawada round 3. He was really loose and ended up getting a finish by a body kick. Also, he's got good feints, good striking entries, makes him unpredictable. Good recoverability. He gets dropped a lot. Gets dropped nearly as much as Neil Magny, but he actually gets knocked down, so his knockdown ratio isn't as fucking horrible as Neil Magny's. But he gets dropped a lot. He's very hittable, but he's got good recovery. And also he's good cardio, good pacing. Same with Neil Magny. They both have good cardio. So yeah, how they lose for the Leach, his left hand hangs very low. So when you're versing orthodox fighters, their right hand's wide open because your left hand's low. So something I wish he would fix, but that's why he gets dropped a lot. He gets dropped by the right hand a lot. Also, his kicks are slow. And when he gets dropped, he loses rounds easily. He gets, potential to be 10-8'd. He's just very hittable, very droppable. Good recoverability though, but very droppable. How Neil Magny loses, he's very droppable as well. But also he's able to get pressured onto the fence, kept out of the 2 octagon lines, and he's, he can easily get pressured against the fence and just get the cage cut off for him and just sit in the fence the whole fight. And also he doesn't check leg kicks at all, which is something I hope he's worked on, because he's got his legs kicked his whole career. Like a tall, lanky guy like that, you're just going to kick the legs, man. Also, his takedown shots in the open are too telegraphed, and when they get stuffed, he just pulls guard. So yeah, it's very frustrating to watch. If you're a Neil Magny fan, which I'm not, by the way, but if you are, it's frustrating to watch. Path to victory for Neil Magny. Counter the kicks hard because, you'll have time because his hands are low, his lead hand's low, and the kicks coming at you aren't that quick. Also, throw the right hand. We've seen Li Jingliang. Fucking hell, I'm fucking up the name. They give me fucking hard names, I swear to God, man. We see the Leach, he leaves his left hand low, so he's open for that right hand, so just start banging that up the pipe. And start sitting down your punches if they're connecting. Like if you're landing the right hand, start sitting down and getting some power behind it. Try and get a knockdown, try and get a 10-8 round, get some top control. And also mix in wrestling, try and get the fight to the ground. But mostly stay long, which I know you're not going to fucking do because you don't use your jab to its full capabilities. But I wish you would. And for path to victory for Li Jingliang is low kicks. Just fucking spam them. Don't let him get double underhooks. That's where he gets all of his takedowns from. So just get the underhooks and win the underhook battle. And yeah, pretty much just use the Ponzinibbio game plan, keep Magny on the outside, cut the cage off, feint just to keep the pressure on, and just start teeing off when you get the openings. Fake leg kicks when Neil's legs hurt, so then, he'll start lifting the leg up, and then you can open up your punches when he's off balance. You saw Ponzinibbio do that, and he knocked him out. on that exact same technique. Also, just take one and land one. You've got more power for sure, and chins are about equal. So yeah, I'd say it's a good probability that you'll have the more impactful shots if you go 1-for-1. And don't stay in kickboxing range. Get in boxing range and look to land your combinations from there. Because Neil can use his kicks and his jab, his long two from kickboxing range, which is where you normally fight at. But I'd advise you to fight in boxing range for this one, just because when you're fighting at kickboxing range, which is one you're usually used to fighting at, because the opponents aren't as long as Neil Magny, but for this one, your opponent is as long as Neil Magny. So don't fight at kickboxing range, because that's the only chance you give him. That's the only time you give him a chance. That's what I meant to say. Also, double up the jab on the way in. Ponzinibbio did that a lot and had success, because Neil Magny bites on the feints, bites on the jab a lot, gets big reactions, and then followed up with a hard two. And don't blow your tank out trying to finish him. He's pretty durable. He's pretty durable. It takes a while. It takes a lot of accumulated damage to finish Neil Magny. So don't try and finish him and blow your gas tank in round one, because he's very durable. And last resort is go for takedowns and get some top control, because Neil Magny doesn't have the greatest takedown defense, and also he is pretty comfortable off his back as well. But how I see it going, I think both these guys let fights get closer than they need to be. Magny does it by lapses of concentration, and Jingliang does it by getting dropped or not throwing enough volume. So I think overall, I see this as a 50-50 fight, which is not reciprocated by the odds. With a Ponzinibbio game plan, Jingliang could easily dominate this fight, but it's hard to know what Jingliang's mindset is or game plan, because he doesn't do interviews in English or many interviews at all. So it's hard to know where his mindset is, and sometimes it does look like he has poor fight IQ because he just has such low volume, and he looks like he has a good solid gas tank, but he just doesn't pick up the volume where he should. So it's hard to trust him. But yeah, I think he should get it done. If he implements the Ponzinibbio game plan, then he gets it done pretty fucking easily. Probably finishes Neil Magny, but I see this being a decision, and maybe Jingliang land the most damage, maybe knocking Magny down once or twice, and yeah, getting a decision. But I think it's a close fight, and I think it's gonna be closer than people expect, which is evident in the odds. Where is it? Yeah. So $1.54, that's about the average, or $1.67. That gives Jingliang a 65% chance of winning. I think it's more close to about 55, and that's been generous. And those odds are about $1.80. So I'm not going to play Jingliang until he gets to $1.80, which is unlikely. So I'm probably not going to win this. Probably not going to bet this fight. But it's just hard to trust Jingliang at those odds, because he does let fights get too close, or he gets knocked down in crucial moments or some shit. But yeah, the prediction is Jingliang probably by TKO. Yeah, let's go round 3.